Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at a set of sources covering a pretty high-level narcotics case. But here's the twist, it suddenly veers off track, like completely, into something resembling cosmic horror.
Yeah, it really does. It starts grounded, police procedural stuff. The murder of a drug dealer, Vince Vestaliano, and his bodyguard.
An enforcer type, right?
Exactly. And this is where it gets strange almost immediately. The source material really flags this specific sound. The bodyguard, Ross Morant, a really tough guy, described as a mean son of a gun.
Someone you wouldn't expect to break easily.
Not at all. But Vestaliano heard Morant, just before he died, screaming. Actually screaming and begging, please, Jesus, no, help me. And for that guy, that reaction was just, well, as source says, inconceivable.
Wow. Okay, so terror from the get-go. And it didn't stop there.
No. After sounds of a struggle, crashing, breaking glass, the files mention one last noise. And it definitely wasn't Morant.
What was it?
Described as an ungodly, inhuman screech. Like something out of a science fiction movie. That's the quote.
Okay, so right away, the mystery isn't just who killed him, but how. How do you subdue a guy like Morant so fast, and what on earth makes it sound like that?
Precisely. #TagI, the initial unsolvable crime pattern. So Detective Jack Dawson and his partner, Rebecca Chandler, they start looking into it. And the medical examiner, Ira Goldblum, he throws out the standard murder playbook almost instantly.
How so?
The bodies. Vestaliano, Morant, and two earlier victims connected to the case, Novello and Coulson. They weren't stabbed, not shot.
Yeah.
They were savagely bitten and chewed.
Cute, like animal bites.
That's what it looked like initially, but the savagery was off the charts. They bled out incredibly fast because whatever did it went straight for the major arteries, neck, arms, legs, the external carotid, brachial, femoral.
Ugh, not just random gnawing then, targeted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Surgically savage, as you put it. Now, Rebecca, she's the rational one here, right? She immediately suggests, okay, maybe scavengers got to the bodies after death. Rats, perhaps, messing up the real cause of death.
Makes sense as a first thought. Keep it logical.
Right. But Goldblum, he shut that down decisively. He said, look, these aren't typical rat bites. The pattern's wrong. And more than that, the sheer aggression. He apparently said something like, you just don't get attacked by packs of rats in your own home.
Yeah, rats are usually opportunistic, right? Not coordinating a full-on assault.
Exactly. This felt different, aggressive, coordinated.
Okay, but hang on. Before we leap to, supernatural explanations, what about some kind of weird animal, maybe an exotic pet, something illegal someone kept?
That's where the crime scene itself becomes the real problem for any normal explanation.
Yeah.
Vestaliano died in his master bathroom. Locked.
From the inside.
From the inside. Secured tight. The only window, tiny, barely big enough to see out of, and the glass was opaque.
Oh.
And the heating duct grill.
Checked.
Way too narrow, fasteners tight. Nothing big enough to inflict that kind of damage could have possibly squeezed through there, let alone, potentially dozens of creatures, given how many bites there were.
Wait, locked door, sealed window, secure vent. How did the killer or killers get in or out?
That's the question they couldn't answer. It became this classic locked room mystery, but with this incredibly gruesome twist. It was physically impossible based on the scene.
So the supernatural angle wasn't just speculation, it was almost forced on them by the lack of any other explanation.
Pretty much. And what's really interesting, or maybe disturbing, is that weird stuff started happening closer to home for Detective Dawson.
Oh.
Yeah, back at his own apartment. His daughter Penny and their cleaner, Naiva Rooney, they started reporting something. Small, fast, kind of sleek and slithery.
Slithery, like a snake.
Vague at first, but always with this distinct sound, hissing, scraping, sometimes a rattling, under beds, in closets.
Maybe.
Definitely creepy. And it directly links the fear in his home life to the violence of the case. It suggests that this wasn't just contained to the drug underworld. Whatever it was, it could maybe travel.
Okay.
#2tip. The antagonist and the clash of beliefs.
Okay, let's shift focus. Who did they eventually suspect was behind this, if not, literal rats?
Well, the intelligence started coming together. Tips from Vestaliano's girlfriend, Shelley Parker, and also from a major crime boss, Gennaro Caramassa. They pointed to one person, a man named Baba Lavelle.
Baba Lavelle? What was his deal?
He was identified as a Bokor?
A what now?
A Bokor. It's a term from Voodoo traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, a priest who deals in black magic, the harmful side of the practice.
So we've gone from drug hits to actual voodoo. That's quite a leap.
A huge leap. Suddenly, it's not about turf wars or money. It's about ancient arts and apparently voodoo warfare.
Why? What was Lavelle's motive?
Revenge.
Yeah.
Deeply personal. It wasn't about the drug trade primarily. It stemmed from the death of his half-brother, Gregory Pontrain. Lavelle apparently felt Pontrain didn't respect the old ways, was a non-believer.
And his death somehow justified this, chewing people to death.
Lavelle saw it as justification for a kind of holy war, a mass slaughter against the Karamazov family, who he presumably blamed.
Okay, this is getting wild. Did they have any proof he could actually do this stuff? Beyond just hearsay?
They did. They spoke to another practitioner, a man named Carver Hampton. He was a Hungan, sort of the opposite, practicing the more benign, healing side of voodoo. White magic, essentially.
And what does he say?
Hampton confirmed Lavelle's power was immense. Apparently, Lavelle tried to recruit Hampton, and when Hampton refused, Lavelle retaliated, instantly and remotely.
Wow.
Every single bottle of herbs, powders, everything on Hampton's shelves just flew off and shattered on the floor.
Yo.
All at once.
Whoa. Just like that.
Just like that. And then from the broken glass and spilled herbs, Lavelle apparently conjured something, a thick black serpent, maybe 18 inches long. It appeared for just a moment, then vanished, like a warning.
Okay, that's pretty convincing. Hard to explain that away with logic.
Exactly. It really forced Jack Dawson's hand. He had to start taking the voodoo angle seriously, even though his partner Rebecca was still fighting it, trying to find a rational explanation.
And Lavelle didn't stop with just magical demonstrations, did he?
No. He escalated. He actually called Jack from a public payphone, knew exactly where Jack had been, what he was doing, showed this creepy, uncanny awareness.
What did he want?
Told Jack to back off the case, drop it entirely. And he used Jack's kids, Penny and Davy, as leverage, directly threatened them.
Oh, man. That changes everything.
It absolutely does. Now it's personal. And Jack has no choice but to confront this, whether he fully believes it or not. Rebecca's skepticism starts to look less like caution and more like, well, maybe denial. Hashtag 3, the nature of the attack and the defense.
So if these attackers weren't rats or snakes, what were they? Did Carver Hampton have any idea?
He did. He explained what Jack's daughter, Penny, had started calling them goblins. He said they weren't really goblins or rats or any natural creature. They were physical manifestations.
Manifestations of what?
Of minor demons and evil men from hell. That's the
Wait, oh, demons.
Yeah.
How does that work? Have they become physical?
Hampton described them as golem bodies, basically spirits given form. Not born creatures, but like spiritually constructed things. Evil spirits that gather physical mass as they travel through the earth.
Earth.
Yes, summoned through a specific ritual. It involved digging a pit and using 3 kinds of blood: cat, rat, and human blood. Gruesome stuff.
Definitely. This leads to something you mentioned earlier, the protection paradox. Why could Lavelle threaten the kids, but not Jack himself?
Right. This is maybe the most fascinating conceptual part in the sources. Hampton's explanation was righteousness.
Righteousness, like religious piety.
Not exactly. Not about church or praying. It was defined more by a lifetime of moral choices.
Yeah.
Choosing good over evil, showing humility, feeling genuine remorse for wrongs done. Jack apparently qualified as a righteous man in this sense. It acts like a kind of spiritual armor.
Okay, so it's earned protection. And children.
Children, Hampton said, are merely innocent. They haven't lived long enough, haven't faced those complex moral choices to build up that same kind of spiritual defense. Their innocence doesn't protect them from this specific kind of magical attack in the same way.
Wow. So the source material is literally saying that making good choices builds a quantifiable defense against, well, demons. That's a heavy concept.
It really is. And while Jack is grappling with this, you see this interesting dynamic with Rebecca. She starts to soften a bit. That tough exterior starts to crack.
Yeah, the sources mention her past trauma, right? Seeing her parents murdered.
Exactly. Witnessed her father's murder, then later her mother's. Terrible stuff. And Jack observes something about her refrigerator. It's always completely stocked, packed full of food.
Huh. Why is that significant?
He interprets it, and the source implies this too, as a kind of symbolic defense. Her whole life became about control, logic, self-sufficiency after that trauma. The fully stocked fridge is like a bulwark against chaos, a physical manifestation of her need for stability and preparedness.
Her own kind of armor, but a rational physical one, contrasting with Jack's developing spiritual defense.
Perfectly put. And speaking of spiritual defense, Jack decides he needs more than just inherent righteousness. He undergoes a ritual with Carver Hampton.
What kind of ritual?
A bath of purification. It involved total immersion in specially prepared water, had coins, stones, even snake vertebrae in it.
Sounds intense. Did it work?
According to the source, yes. It wasn't just symbolic. Jack apparently felt a physical sensation. Fear, tension, all the negative stuff literally being leached out of him.
Why was that important?
Because Lavelle and the things he summoned, they seemed to feed on fear, on spiritual weakness. This purification was like stripping away Jack's vulnerability before the final confrontation, getting him ready. #TagFV, the showdown and the gates of hell.
So the confrontation finally happens. How did it kick off?
With Lavelle making a direct move, he sends something described as a poltergeist straight to Rebecca's room where she and Jack were. It completely wrecked the place, violently.
And that proved?
That proved Lavelle knew exactly where they were, and that the kids were likely next. It became a desperate race across the city, in the snow, to get to Penny and Davy before Lavelle could.
Were they attacked during this race?
Yes. The creatures appeared again, now clearly visible, silver-eyed, hissing. One was described as worm-like, another more cat-like, but definitely unnatural.
And could anything stop them?
There was one moment. They were chasing the kids near St. Patrick's Cathedral. As the creatures reached the steps of the cathedral, they slowed down, hesitated.
Really? Why?
The sanctity of the place. It acted like some kind of barrier or maybe a repellent field. It didn't stop them completely, but it slowed them just enough for the kids to scramble inside to safety.
A small vulnerability then, hallowed ground. Interesting. So where did Jack and Carver go to confront Lavelle?
Directly to his hideout. And when they got there, they found, well, the situation had deteriorated badly.
Oh.
Lavelle hadn't controlled his magic. He'd lost control of it. That pit he'd dug for the ritual. It wasn't just a pit anymore. It had grown huge, immense, and the light coming from it had changed from orange to this blinding blood-red glare.
What did that mean?
It meant his dark benefactors, as the source puts it, were basically turning on him. He hadn't just summoned things, he'd ripped open a full-on doorway to this plane of existence, a permanent one.
Oh, man, he overplayed his hand.
Massively.
Yeah.
And the source describes his end vividly. Something came out of the pit. A colossal limb described as insectile, covered in tentacles. And get this detail, it was compared to the size of a human finger relative to whatever unseen monstrosity it belonged to.
Just a finger. Good grief. The scale.
Exactly. Just hammers home the cosmic horror aspect. This thing snaked up, grabbed the screaming Lavelle, and just pulled him down into the pit, into whatever mouth or void was waiting below. Gone.
Terrifying. So Lavelle's gone, but the doorway's still open. What did Jack do?
Jack, fueled by pure terror, but also rage, looked into this massive, swirling red pit. And in that moment, something clicked for him. A realization.
What did he realize?
That hell, demons. Maybe it wasn't supernatural in the way we think. Maybe these were just creatures from another dimension. A hostile one, sure. But ultimately just a place with different rules, different physics, maybe.
So framing it scientifically, almost.
In a way, yeah. It stopped being unknowable magic and became, well, a problem with a potential solution, like fighting an invasive species from another reality. It let him act instead of just being paralyzed by fear.
What could he possibly do?
He only had one thing left from Carver Hampton. A simple glass jar filled with holy water.
Holy water. Against that.
It seems so, almost instinctively. Maybe drawing on that idea of righteousness and sanctity having power, he just hurled the jar into the immense gaping pit.
And what happened?
The reaction was instantaneous. All the remaining creatures, the worm thing that had cornered Carver, all of them, they just dissolved.
Yeah.
Turned into piles of stinking black slime.
Wow. Just like that, the gates closed.
Slammed shut. The red light vanished. Silence. #TagItro.
So the case file closes. How? No arrest, obviously. Lavelle's gone in a pretty definitive way.
Yeah, the official investigation kind of just ends. What's left is a record of chewed bodies, an impossible locked room, and this documented, albeit brief, period where, well, the laws of physics seem to take a vacation, and the gates of hell were apparently open for business.
Wild. What's the final takeaway from the sources here? What's the underlying message, if there is one?
It really circles back to that protection idea we discussed, the ultimate defense, the thing that seemed to have actual power against this cosmic chaos. It wasn't intricate rituals in the end, or dogma. It was righteousness.
Defined by moral action.
Right. Demonstrable righteousness built up over time. And also love. The source explicitly calls love a binding force in the universe, like the energy within a molecule. Those were the things that seem to endure and protect.
Love and right action as cosmic forces. It's a powerful thought. Which brings us to one final, really strange detail.
Yeah. That's right. After the pit closed, after the immediate danger passed, Jack heard something.
What'd he hear?
Rebecca's voice, clear as day, saying, "I love you, Jack."
But she wasn't there, right? She was miles away. presumably back with the kids.
Nowhere near the hideout. So it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? If all this stuff, magic, other dimensions, demons, if that's verifiably real within the context of this story, did Jack's final act, that selfless moment of throwing the holy water, driven by love and protection, did it forge some kind of connection?
A psychic link, maybe? Like that ray of sunlight he thought about earlier, enduring through the chaos?
Could be. Or maybe just auditory hallucination under extreme stress. But the source leaves it open. A little hint of connection surviving the horror.
Definitely something for you to think about. What echoes remain when the impossible happens? We'll leave it there for this deep dive.